Hey, you and I are finna discuss the big three in this video. Teenagers, mermaids, krakens. You may have seen all three of these things tons of times in media, but I bet you haven't seen all three of these things rolled into one. Because this is that story of those three rolled into one. This is the story about a sweet and awkward 16-year-old Kraken named Ruby Gillman, who is desperate to fit in at school, but she mostly just feels invisible. Not seen, not heard, not known, not loved, misunderstood. Anybody? She's prevented from hanging out with the cool kids at the beach because of her overprotective mom, who forbids her from going into the water. But don't I belong in the water? Don't she belong in the water? When she breaks her mom's rule, she discovers that is just the case because she is a descendant of the warrior Kraken queens and is destined to inherit the throne from her grandmother, who conveniently sounds like Jane Fonda. The Krakens are sworn to protect the world's oceans against vain, power-hungry mermaids. Why does that sound familiar? Because we've seen this, but just flipped around so many times. But now, as of the 1 minute 31 second mark, we's finna set the record straight. DreamWorks Animation's Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken can be a lot of things to a lot of different people depending on who you ask. You might ask someone that may not know what Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken is. If you show this film to anyone under the age of 12, they might hyperbolically call it one of their favorite films of all time. However, if you ask someone like Sterling Still, you might get a been there, done that answer if you ask any Millennial or Gen Zer. The reason why is because this animated film has a recurring moral message that has been used many times in media and films and pop culture at this point. And there are even other DreamWorks Animation films that have touched upon this lesson already. But comparison aside, I think this film does a great job at appealing to Generation Alpha with its depiction of finding your place in the world, because if you're Gen Alpha, you might be new to this very message. But your fellow Gen Zer that's talking to you right now is not exactly new to this whole finding your place in the world, finding your purpose, finding your role that you play in humanity or in all creation. With its depiction of finding your place in the world and being proud of what makes you unique. There are moments in this film that if you are a Gen Z or watching this, that you cannot help but see a number of parallels to so many other recent animated films, specifically Pixar's Turning Red. What Turning Red is for Pixar is what Ruby Gillman the Teenage Kraken is or could be for DreamWorks Animation. And as disgusting as that sounds, once you see the similarities in character design, storytelling, and build up, you can no longer unsee it with either your eyes or your tentacles if you have any. I also find it funny how this film coincidentally gets released roughly a month after Disney's live-action Little Mermaid, as if this movie is a direct message to another story about a mermaid, which is very consistent with DreamWorks' taste and style. Interestingly enough, this movie shies away from being a generic coming-of-age story about a girl disobeying mom, or telling a story where mermaids are the crown jewels, because it actually does the exact opposite. Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, as implied by the title, puts the spotlight on most of y'all's favorite sea creatures that you have never seen before, the Krakens, the mythical Krakens, and emphasizes on the majestic nature of those sea creatures on the coast of Norway. Krakens are often depicted in folktale as the frightening behemoths that lurk in the depths of the ocean and prey on the sailors that voyage the heart of the sea. While mermaids are notoriously depicted for being these wonderfully glamorous human-fish hybrids that are loved by everyone, I don't care how many Little Mermaids or splashes you've seen, don't let those fool you, because that's just not the case. I am on board with the idea of role reversing the Krakens and mermaids, where the mermaids are antagonized and seen as wicked, while the Krakens are the noble heroes. But the bonus of this storytelling choice is the way they use this as a device to illustrate to the younger audience about the power of embracing oneself's premium worth. And on a side note, The animation and the character design is kind of mid for me. It's okay, but you know, if you're under 11, you'll take it for how you will. The best thing about Ruby Gillman, the Teenage Kraken, are the designs of the Krakens and actually winning you over into believing that Krakens are cooler than mermaids and a lot more interesting because we have never seen those in real life. But then again, we have never seen mermaids in real life either. So which one are you gonna choose? Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 65% recommendation, and I say Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken will cast its net more towards Generation Alpha about the familiar message of self-acceptance and belonging than to Gen Z audiences that have come before it. So for that, I give it about 82 gallons of water out of 100. With that being said, yes, you've seen teen dramas. Yes, you've seen coming of age stories. Yes, you've seen the trope of the girl disobeying her mom because she wants to fit in or she wants to go on this territory that she's never been in. Yes, you've seen awesome kaijus battle it out and sometimes team up twice. And sometimes you have seen too many mermaids, one too many mermaids, some of them from Disney and some of them from other anonymous outlets, other anonymous IPs. But with all that being said, next time, just never forget how long the Krakens have been here, and never forget the value and the power of the Krakens.